Hi, everyone. It's Monday. How are you doing? How was your Easter? Hope you had a wonderful Easter. Mine was actually quite nice. It was lovely just to be home with my husband, and we had a beautiful time together as always. It was quite an unusual Easter, obviously, because I think it's the first time in I think all my life I didn't actually attend church this year. So that was something we sort of had to wrap our heads around. But as like all of you, I'm sure you felt the same way that next year when Easter comes around, the following year, I'm going to really appreciate that I could go to church and pray and thank God that we're here today. Oh, hi, Black1255 Face. You actually tune into most of my shows. So just a little shout out to you. We have been, it's just been a really tough time for all of us. So, first off, I just want to say thank you for joining me for another thrilling episode of Margaux with Margaux. Hi. I'll go ahead and grab my glass of wine and we're going to toast to a wonderful 13th Monday, April 13th. I thank you so very much for joining me. You're my guest, so a toast to you and thank you for joining me. Mm. That is simply wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. My God, that was delightful. We're going to do one more toast. Oh, there we go. I'm a little bit more intimate. I brought the camera in just a little bit more. Um, have you been watching all the prior shows? If you have, then you kind of know the routine. I usually talk about coronavirus, what's going on with that. We'll go ahead and get started. Um, First off, I just want to say I'm very sorry to hear about the number of deaths today. We're now totaled over 23,000 people have passed away in the United States. It is quite shocking, the number, and I feel for everyone who suffered a loss, a family, a friend, and our hearts and prayers go to them. I know they have their angel wings and they're looking down on us. And they did not die in vain. We're going to go back and make the world better, perhaps prevent a pandemic like this ever happening to anybody in the future if we can be more prepared. So that's something we need to make sure that we hold our government accountable and also ourselves accountable. Because we know what this entailed and what we all have gone through. So it's good for you to talk to the younger generation and say, look, we went through this. We need to prepare. You need to be prepared, and you need to think in those terms. We're quite lucky. This thing could have really, from what the numbers are, they were telling the government at one point, there was 1 to 2 million people could have died if we didn't mitigate the way we did. And of course, everybody participated. They followed all the rules. They social distanced. They wore masks. And now the numbers, they were stating the numbers could be upwards to 100,000 to 200,000 deaths. Now we're at 22,000. My God, I hope it stops right away. But it's just heartbreaking when you look at the number of people who've passed. And, statistically seeking, African Americans have been hit the hardest. And I think a lot of it obviously has to do with economics, has to do with lack of accessible healthcare. It also has to do with the education system. It also has to do with their attitude toward masking themselves. There's a lot of different reasons why it's hitting us hard, but they tend to live in close proximity, multi-generational families. And I just think it's a lack of communication, making it clear that this is serious and this can happen to you. So that's something that needs to be really talked about in the long term. How can we help minority communities? How do we bring more wealth? How do we bring more jobs, more opportunities, more money toward those specific areas? And also make a person who's very young and who's smart and who has the ambition to succeed, to let them know that this America is their America and that they can excel, they can do extremely well, they can beat the odds. You can do it. It's America's a really great country. You just have to find the right people, the right mentors at the right time, and you can make it. You can excel. There's really great examples of people making it in life and doing extremely well. And it can happen, but it's a matter of finding the right people, the right types of people that will support and love you and want you to succeed. So if you're out there and you're a young person and you're wondering why you're not as successful as you have, one thing you can do is control your mind. What you put in your thoughts can create your reality. Also, work extremely hard and find the right mentors and the right people that can guide you. Now, obviously, if you can't find the right people, you know the bad people, stay away from them and start to figure out a path that you can be surrounded by good people that will love and support you. If you have the talent, you have the good mindset, there's opportunities out there. But this America is your America as well. So I encourage you to learn and grow as much as you can and find the right resources for you. And if you're a person looking for a good mentor, I know a lot of great people. Just email me at graceandkwhite@gmail.com, graceandkwhite@gmail.com, and perhaps there's something I could do to help. So that's my little bit of a shout out for that. Now, did you guys watch the coronavirus update at the White House today? I've watched every single one. I actually thought this one was actually pretty good because the president, what he did was the media keeps turning its head on what he's said, certain media outlets. So he basically turned the tables and put up the dates that what he said, what he did during this whole coronavirus, because obviously they're trying to blame him for the number of deaths. And I just think it's unfair for any president to be blamed for any of this. It's a horrible, horrible thing that's happened, no matter who's in a White House. Even if you'd agree that any person in a White House, they shouldn't be blamed for a pandemic hitting our country. So anyway, that's a whole other discussion in itself. I hope you had a chance to watch it. If you didn't get a chance to watch it recorded, you can also go to whitehouse.gov on their website. You can see a link to it and you can actually view the entire program. It's a long program. Oh my God, it's a long show. I recommend maybe watching first 20, 30 minutes just to get a feel for what the president has to say. And I think it's quite interesting to watch. Another thing pointed out that they want to do as well is to bring the economy. They want to get people back to work and get our economy booming again. It's not easy to just sit at home and wait something out. I mean, how many days can we really do this? But at the same time, they have to be mindful that a lot of people can possibly catch coronavirus. So it's a lot of thought going into this. So he's creating these different committees he spoke about. If you want to know more details, obviously you can read some more articles. I know he wants to create different types of committees that in specific areas that he can bring in all their input and all their experts to come up with a plan. So we'll see. I would love for people to get back to work, but I want people to be safe and healthy at the same time. And if you've watched me over the course of the last 2 months I've been doing this, one of my goals, one of the things I really support is people succeeding and living happy, fulfilled human experience. We're all in this together. You and I are in this together. And so we want to support people getting back to work, living productive human wonderful life and have family and healthy and strong economy is really one of the things I look forward to happening. Another thing to talk about is the hydrochloroquine. This is a medication, it's an anti-malaria drug that's been used to treat malaria. And they're starting to do studies across the US and obviously in Europe and around the world to see how well it works. Apparently it does really well. I haven't exactly seen a study in detail about it. I think this is something they're still doing, but from what I've been reading and told, hydrochloroquine is is working well. So that's another thing to address. There are many vaccinations they're working on as well. They're hoping to have a vaccination in the next 6 months, and that would just be wonderful. Wouldn't it just be wonderful to have a vaccination? Oh my God, it would just be so great, wouldn't it? I just would be so happy we can all go back to living our normal lives because we know there's a vaccination. Oh my God, this would be awesome. So I'm really hoping they get that going. That would be great. So they have a second task force or another individual group that will be on board and they will address and try to get our economy back to work. I hope everyone takes advantage of this moment. Depending on your situation, obviously, depends on how well you can take advantage of it, but use the time to educate yourself, prepare yourself so when you are ready to go back to work, you're ready to go. There's a lot of educational classes you can take. Harvard, Yale, and a lot of great universities have free online courses. Obviously, you can't get a credit, but you can develop your mind. You can learn more and grow more. Because once something is planted in your psyche and something develops, then your mind will be attracted to learn more, and you can grow, and it can add so much to your existence, because the more you grow, the more you know, the more you can spread and share your knowledge with other people. So it's important to take advantage of this time. I also think it's a time to be reflective and think about where your life is and where you want it to go in the next 10, 15 years, and how you want your lives of your children. Maybe you decide that the way their school system isn't the best school, or maybe anything. Maybe decide to change your diet, make it much healthier, because obviously our immune system is really important during this time. I do a lot of great things to boost my immune system. I'm always learning new tricks. There's a lot of great information out there, mainly your diet. Everything stems from your diet. So examine what you're eating, what you're doing. How is your mind working? Are you negative? Are you positive? Stay very positive, stay open-minded, loving, and positive. Helps your immune system as well. So those are a few things. Also, continue to do social distancing. Here in California, we're wearing masks, which, you know, is cumbersome, but it's necessary. I love when I see other people wear masks, because in case they do have coronavirus, of course, chances are slim that I will catch it. I continue to wipe down surfaces. I think this has really changed the way I do a lot of things in my life. Also, wiping down surfaces is one of the things I do even more now because of it. So that's the best thing about it. Last Friday, I spoke about a book called A Man Thinketh, and I gave a whole talk about this book. And it's the power of your thoughts, the power of your mind, the power of your words. It was really good. It was kind of a long show, I have to admit. And I did go over a lot of interesting detail, but if you're interested in getting a copy of this book, A Man Thinketh by James Allen, please do. You can email my assistant, Grayson K. White at gmail.com, GRAYSONKY at gmail.com, and he will send you a copy of this ebook. It's called A Man Thinketh. There's another great book that I mentioned as well. There were 4 books. I'll go over them. And if you want any of these or all of these, just let us know. We'll send you a free ebook. One is The Power of the Subconscious Mind. You know, your subconscious mind is operating whether you know it or not. Whatever your mind believes to be reality, your conscious mind will align itself with your subconscious mind. That's why it's important to understand what it is that you're putting in your mind and your thoughts, and how are you using that mind. So it's better for you personally to put the seeds in your thoughts that you want, not what society has told you and what is out there. So take control of your mind. It's the most powerful thing we have. So that's one book. Another one is Think and Grow Rich. 2 of my friends who are self-made billionaires read the book when they were fairly young and said this book is a book that changed their life. It's a great, great book. Another book is A Power of Positive Thinking, and that's a wonderful book as well. And the other book is A Man Thinketh. So those are 4 books. Now, another book that's not on this list that I spoke about last week, it is called A Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. Now, I read this book fairly young because I love psychology, and it talked about how mental health and spiritual growth are intertwined, even though our medical profession tends to separate the two between science and religion. I think they're both are clearly connected. I implore you to read the book. It's a really great book if you want to understand this whole thing. I think we're all on a spiritual journey. We're spiritual beings living a human experience, and the more we grow spiritually, obviously it helps our intellect, it helps who we are, and that's a wonderful book. It's called A Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck, who's a well-known psychiatrist. He wrote the book many years ago. It's a really excellent book. Last week, I spoke about SciFi. If you guys don't know this or not, I have a company called JK Metro Media. I started a while ago, and I want to make great TV and great movies. And at first, initially, I wanted to create my own streaming service, and I've gone through many iterations over the years, but I just truly love film, and I'm working on a number of projects right now. But the films that I mentioned last week are sci-fi films that were some of my favorite. I'm still going through the list. The ones I mentioned was Alien movie that came out. Oh my God, wasn't that a great movie? Did you guys see Alien? Oh God, what a great movie. Terminator that came out in the 80s with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which was just fantastic. Linda Hamilton was in it. Arnold Schwarzenegger What a movie. Wasn't that amazing? Matrix came out in the late 1990s. Did you take the red pill? Did you take the blue pill? It was wonderful. Also, I talked about another one was Blade Runner. Did you guys see Blade Runner? So those are the few movies I mentioned last week. Now, another movie that was announced today that they're talking about, obviously the movie's been already made, but it's coming out in December. It's called Dune, which is based on a book, and it was done to a previous iteration in the film as well. That was coming out December 2020. It's going to be one of two parts, and it is going to be wonderful. It's Frank Herbert's is the name of his sci-fi movie Dune, and Timothy Chalamet will be starring in it. Oh my God, who does not like Timothy Chalamet? He play everything, can't he? He was so good. Oh my God, in Little Women, oh, he swept my heart away. Love you, Timothy. You were just fantastic. Mm. He's a wonderful young performer. There was a movie called The King. I think it's called The King, and it was on Netflix. It was really very good. So if you haven't seen that, streaming on Netflix, it's called The King. Robert Pattinson plays a French king as well. I think it's called The King or something in the title King, but you guys can look it up. Very good film with him in it. He's just a really great actor. So that's the movie that's coming out, which will be the movie Dune. So those are a few that are on my list for my best sci-fi movies. I'm still going through it because there were, honestly speaking, there's so many great sci-fi movies. I love sci-fi movies. My husband can't stand them, but I love. I mean, he likes them, but he doesn't love them. I love them. I love sci-fi movies. They're some of the best. Also, I just want to quickly mention as well, as a side note, I don't know, did you guys watch P. Diddy or Sean Puffy Combs did a special, I would say, uh, he was on Instagram Live trying to, his goal was to raise money for healthcare workers. And it was really kind of interesting. Jennifer Lopez called in, which I'm a really big fan of. And so that was kind of cool to see. And there was a lot of different celebrities that called in on the show and to raise money up to help healthcare workers. A lot of times these charities pop up. I wish they would share with us how much of the money that we give goes to the actual people and what was done. I think that's important to mention because it's easy to give the money, but you really want to hold charities accountable for all the money that they give. Everyone's charity should be able to tell you if you give money where that money is going. My always concern is making sure that the money goes to the right people. That's why I have my own charity and do my own work. And if I do give to a charity, I want to make sure that that money goes to the right people in the right way who really deserve and need that money. So my hero of the day is Sean Puffy Combs. I think what you did was great. I know he mentioned they raised about over maybe 3 to 4 million. We'll see. If I find out any additional information about that, I'll be happy to share it with you guys as well. So I'm going to continue to talk about TV and movies this week and talk about the country being reopened for all of us to go back to work. I promise you, I'm going to talk about a lot of other subjects besides the coronavirus. We're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about travel. We're going to talk about different projects that I'm involved in that I think are really great and wonderful. The reason I started the show Margaux with Margaux, and I'm Margaux, and this is my glass and my favorite wine, which is Margaux, was to help with the homeless issue. It's a really big issue that's rampant in our society, and we're too rich, too powerful to have people laying all over the place. And so we're going to address it head on. I'm going to hold certain people accountable and make sure the money goes to the right people the right way. We have to put people in power that have kind hearts and soul and really want to help people, opposed to people who want to exploit and use the situation to line their own pockets or their own agenda, which is something the things that happen in society in general. But when we put positions of people in power, whether it's our government, we have to hold people accountable for the role that they have. Their decisions have an impact on millions of people, and we have to stand up and when things are not right, and we have to speak up and put good people in there that have good hearts and souls that really want to do a good job. And you see a lot of times people get corrupted by money and power. It happens to the wealthy in politics. It's the sort of the darker nature of the human experience that people, take advantage of other people, and it's just such a cruel thing to see. But there's a lot of healthy, wonderful, good people in the world that really do want to make a difference, who don't want to exploit other people. And those are the people we want to put in power, people who will not sell their souls to just line their own pockets and their own agenda and their own whatever. It's a hard thing to find, very hard, because we're all human and we all want things in life. But we do have to make sure that we do put good people in charge. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I would never run into politics. I just didn't want to bother with all of it. I love my life and it's very easy for me and I'm happy. Why complicate it? But I could use this show to hold those people accountable and speak out when I do see things that are not done right. Um, I will be talking about certain political issues that are not the easiest thing to talk about, but I will talk about at a later point. And we will get there. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in this evening for another wonderful episode of Margaux with Margaux. And I pray for all of you out there that have a family member, or if you of course have coronavirus, we send you loving thoughts, kind, the energy, beautiful things to you. We wish you extremely well. I also want to thank Andrea Bocelli's performance yesterday in Milan, Italy. I have a home in Italy, and I love Italians. I love Italy. The culture is just wonderful. And Andrea Bocelli is one of my favorite singers of all time. And his song was just quite lovely. If you guys didn't get a chance to see it, it's on YouTube. I think it's on his Instagram page if you want to see it. It was just such a beautiful, loving, wonderful performance. It was just quite good. So, you guys, I love you. Thank you for tuning in for another great show of Margaux with Margaux. And we'll be here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're seeing this on replay, hi, I appreciate you replaying me. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, be sure to like or subscribe to my page. I have a lot more things I'm going to announce as well. God bless. Have a good day and a better tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. live here on Periscope and Twitter. And we'll talk some more. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.